Welcome to Midweek Main. This is a pause every single week on Wednesdays to reflect on the gospel for everyday life. These will be reflections on the previous Sunday's teaching and also our time together as a church family. I've got this friend who has probably, anywhere from 5 to 7 pairs of reading glasses laying in one of his cars or his house. And the reason for that is because he recognized along the way that he tends to have this need to read something, but can't seem to remember where he put his reading glasses. And so they're sitting somewhere and he's got to do something to go find them. And he recognized, if I just buy 5 or 6 pairs of these things and leave them lay in those locations, like at the dinner table, in the living room, on the nightstand beside the bed, in the car, any point in time he needs to quote unquote read something, boom, there's the glasses. And for all of us as Christians, the teachings that we learn in Sunday services or even times throughout the week can kind of feel like that. We get into our week and we wish we still kind of had that teaching with us. It seems like it would come in handy at that moment. Midweek at Main, the goal for this is that we slowly start to put more and more exposure for the gospel and how to apply it and what we're learning together as a church family from the scriptures. So that over time, we're kind of always wearing our reading glasses, that the lens through which we see all of life becomes the gospel, that we learn how to look and live and learn through the lens of the gospel in every area of our life. So these are opportunities in the middle of the week for us to reflect on what we're hearing and what we're learning and ways to think about how to apply something out of what we're learning together. So that's what we're going to be doing every single week on Wednesday. This will come through this app or an email. We'll continue to put this on Facebook to encourage our church family together, all of us, to begin to apply what we're hearing and learning. What is God saying to us through his scriptures that we might practice following Jesus purposefully in our day-to-day life through the lens of the gospel? So this week, we're going to reflect on the previous 2 weeks that Pastor Rashad began this series, The Pursuit, with, looking a very deep and intense look at Hosea and Gomer in the prophet Hosea's writings in the Old Testament. And here's what I want us to take away out of these first 2 weeks, and maybe something that we can apply. One of the things I think that is most important in our life together as a church is to recognize that God is in fact in pursuit. There is this pursuit, but it's not an angry, intense pursuit. There's this sense in which God's goals for his people and what he's doing throughout time and life is and you see this in Genesis and you see this in Revelation. God desires, and it in fact is building a family to live with, to love, to be loved by him, to work together with him, to create on a resurrected earth. The end of all of this is that God's people are going to be together with him, living life without pain, without grief, without guilt, without fear, without anxiety, and certainly without death. Things will be exactly as we all wish they really would be most. And while we're here now, taking the good news of Jesus into our heart and saying, okay, if Jesus really died for my sins, and if he's really forgiven me, and if he's really promised perfectly this resurrection and everything else that's coming, if that's all in view here, then I don't have to ever feel entitled in my life that I'm deserving of certain things or that I need it, because the reality is what I did deserve most, Jesus took for me. And I got what I didn't deserve. And so applying the gospel, the whole story of God into our daily life can look a lot of different ways, but we want to be able to do that better and better as we go along. So this last Sunday, we looked at Genesis to Revelation and how God's heart, this broken heart over our sin and our far off life, didn't stop him from pursuing his final end and bringing us into his family forever. So you're still here. Here it is in the middle of the week. What are you going to do with that? God's pursuit is not so much about chasing us through wilderness, although in some sense it seems like that, but his pursuit is chasing us into his arms, into his future, into his life. So now for you, I want you to draw a circle around the people in your life, the ones that are closest to you. I want you to identify who are the people in your life you feel most burdened for. In the same way like God in Jeremiah chapter 2 was so burdened for his people that he had in view at that time. Who are the people that God might have in view in your life? God's steadfast love to you is also to go through you to others. So who are they? I want you to pray. And I want you to think about, what is God leading you to consider doing for them. Maybe it's a text. Maybe it's you need to reconcile. Maybe you need to go to them and say, I'm truly sorry for the things that I've said behind your back you may not even know about. Or I'm truly sorry for the attitude I've had in my heart toward you. I'm truly needing you to forgive me for whatever, or I need to reconcile, or I need to maybe encourage you and build you. But who is God sending his steadfast love through you to, so that they see what it would look like to be a part of God's family, a family that lives in forever peace because of Jesus Christ and his life, his death, his burial, his resurrection, and his ascension, where he now sits at the right hand of God on the throne, bringing all things to subjection under his feet. This is how we apply. Now, in the middle of this, here's what I want you to hear, that the steadfast love of God never ceases. It's always moving. His mercies are new every morning. And because that is true, that means today is your day. So what do you want to do? Who is it? Let's pray and see who God is sending you to today. Who are the people you find yourself most burdened to care for, to love, to forgive, to reconcile, to bring peace to? As we strongly think through this pursuit of God, God's steadfast love for his people. Have a great week.